Hi, this is Scott Powers Houston, and welcome to another exciting episode of Learning with Power. This is episode number 32. And this is a sort of an interim replacement episode because the episode that I was really planning to do, I can't do right at this time. I was going to do an episode on basically, since we had done 3000 BC, I was going to do 2000 BC. And basically talk about all the historical things that happened between 3000 BC and 2000 BC, or 5,000 years ago to 4,000 years ago. But basically, during that time, it was all about Egypt and ancient Egypt and Egyptology. And I have a friend who's got two doctorate degrees from like Cambridge on Egyptology, and so he kind of knows a little bit about it, and he's been on a lot of archaeological excavations and things like that in Egypt, and he's said that he'll help me with one of these broadcasts when he's in America. He's not that far away, so we can probably meet up. And but he's in London at the moment, and he won't get back until June. So in the meantime, I have to give another one. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm actually going to this episode is going to be about ideas. So basically, it's like ideas for innovations or things that they should probably do in America, especially, and then maybe a couple of like inventions, So, before I give away these inventions, let's just mark that today is May 15th, 2025. So I had the idea first, and here's documentation for that. It's the same thing as, I guess, if you got a patent, or what they used to call a poor man's patent, by you have the whole schematics for something, and then you would mail it to yourself from some other location. And that would be like a poor man's patent, and as long as you kept it sealed, the postmark then on that envelope would be the proof that you had the idea first. And if anybody tried to steal your idea, you'd take them to court. Judge would open that up in court and go, "Yep, that's evidence that he had the idea first." Anyway, so today is May 15th, 2025, even though I had these ideas many years ago. But anyway, okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how horrible America is. Anyway, so America is run by corporations. Unlike other countries, like especially China, which the government reigns in and mostly has control of the corporations. In America, the corporations are completely in control of the government. And it's not just the corporations, it's like international banking institutions as well. So European banks and things like that also have quite a lot of influence. And of course, we owe a lot of money to China, but European banks have more influence when it's all said and done. The IMF, things like that, very powerful, kind of controls what America does. And so that's why we've got so many things in America that are really catered to maximizing corporate profits, such as this, hang on, I forgot to bring it with me. This thingy, this fun thing here, okay, these iPhone thingies. They're shoved down our throat in this country because it's best for the corporations. Because if everything is done automatically, without paperwork, without having to hire other people, things like that, it just streamlines and lowers their costs of their payroll costs. Basically, is mostly what it lowers, and so they force it upon us to do it. It's not. They pitch it as oh, look how cool, look how convenient it is. Actually, it's best for them. It's like these self-service terminals in the shopping Walmart or whatever. So anyway, but along those lines, corporations, they, like I said, they have a tremendous amount of power in this country. And one of the things that they like to do in this country is they like to they want to create this atmosphere of like uber competitiveness, but competitiveness for a limited amount of positions that are all within a corporation. And so to give you an idea of how corporate controlled America is, if you just go down any major thoroughfare and you look at all the businesses that line the road, every one is a corporation, one after the other, after the other, after the other. The gas station and the shopping, the grocery store and the fast food place, they're all corporations, big corporations, multinational corporations, most all of them. Other countries are not like that. You know, other countries have mom and pop shops along the roadway. And so America does a lot of things that other countries don't do. Like, for instance, yearly income tax declaration. This isn't really necessary in the modern day of computers. I mean, the IRS knows how much you owe. There's no doubt about it. But they make you go through this trouble because there's a huge tax lobby in America. So those corporations want everybody to keep filing taxes every year, and so we have to do that. And another thing, another corporation that has quite a bit of control over us is credit corporations. So we're talking about Asperian, Equifax, things like that. Those companies have quite a lot of control. And now, supposedly it's all done in the name of, you know, credit worthiness. But all other countries, you know, banks in all other countries, they do have a process that they go through to determine credit worthiness. And yeah, your income has a lot to do with that. Yes. And we're back before I was so rudely interrupted.
Are we?
Okay. Actually, so before I get into the credit corporations, also another example of how America is different from other countries, like things like your telephone that we were just talking about. You know, maybe it's not as much now. Now there's some competition, but it was certainly this way for a good 20 years. That in America, to get a cell phone, you had to go and get your credit approved, and you had to sign a contract with a company, and they owned your phone and they owned you for 2 years or 3 years, or you had to, and you couldn't cancel because you couldn't get out of your contract. You were bound by this contract for 3 years or whatever. Other countries don't make you do that. You just go to a phone mart and you buy your phone at the phone mart. A lot of places have used phone marts, so the phone's going to be a lot cheaper than if it's brand new. And once you acquire your phone, then you have a choice of like 4 or 5 SIM cards, whichever is going to be your service provider that you want to use, and you buy a SIM card from that company. And America is not the only country that has, you know, competition and free enterprise. Every country has like 4 different service providers at least that you can choose from. So you just buy a SIM card and you put that in, and boom, you're ready to go. Nobody owns you. You don't have any contracts that you have to oblige or whatever. Now, with your phone, they want to put on all of these subscriptions, and everything is all subscription-based. I'm surprised they don't have subscriptions now to wipe your butt. You know, I mean, I can just see it now. Like they have the new kind of jeans, not like the old jeans. Now they have new jeans that have like these fibers that when your phone is in your pants, they can like deactivate it or activate it or whatever, and you get shocked if you try to take your pants down if you don't pay your monthly subscription. So anyway, I just see that. That's the next step to owning us. Other countries don't do this. All right, so another way that they control people in this country is with credit. Is with the credit companies. And like I said, not that other countries don't go through a process to determine credit worthiness, and yes, your job is very important, but they don't do like what we do. They don't assign a number to you and say you are a 712. Sorry, but you are only a 485. And that's all part of this uber competitiveness that we have in this country. And most countries, like in Europe or in Asia, are countries of inclusion. they try to provide reasonably for everybody. And they try to make sure that everybody is basically copacetically happy, unless you're a criminal or super alcoholic or whatever like that. They pretty much try to accommodate everybody. But not in America. America is a country of exclusion. It's all about trying to find ways to exclude you. It's all about trying to find ways to deny you a ticket to the dance. And in order to have a ticket to the dance, you have to have financed college when you were young, and you have to have a huge college debt because college prices of costs have gone up 143% in the last 20 years. And then once you have that piece of paper, then that means that you can get some corporate job. And even if you want to be a franchisee, you still have to have credentials like that. You can't just give them money and say, I want to buy a franchise. All right, sorry about that. So someone was apparently texting me. Okay, so yeah, America. So you have to jump through all the hoops in order to have a ticket to the dance. And one of the things that they do to make sure you have a ticket to the dance is they control you with this number that they assign to you. And the problem with the way that they do it in this country is that there's no regulation of it at all. There's no government say or regulation. There's no SEC regulation. There's no government regulation. And most importantly, there's no credit court. So the corporations who control the country, but you see the country doesn't want to acknowledge that. They don't want to admit that the corporations really are in control. So they're like, oh, well, that's just business. You know, that doesn't have anything to do with the government. Actually, it has everything to do with living in America. And so they are bound by nothing and nobody. And so the problem with that is that, like, here's an experience that I had was I had an experience with a internet provider a couple of years ago. And I was supposed to be getting 600 megabytes of speed, but the internet kept going out all the time. And even when I got it, it didn't seem like it was 600 megabytes. And I think most people don't realize how fast that is. And I think most people don't actually, they think that they're paying for 400 or 600 megabytes, but they're not getting it. But you have to actually inquire on the internet to see how fast is your internet speed. And I think most people don't do that. And I think they bank on that. And so they kept telling me, so every time I would check, I was only getting 60. But I was paying for 600. And so, you know, I went to a friend's house and I took my computer and they were supposed to have 600 megabytes. And it only got 60 also, and they were like local. And then I took it to my sister's place, and they have to have high-speed internet there because her boyfriend does it for a living. And he's a programmer. And so there I had like really fast internet. Not the fastest internet that I've ever seen. The fastest internet that I've ever seen was in China, actually. And I had a really rich girlfriend for a while who wanted me to be more than that. But anyway. But I would say that at her house, wow, it was like, you know, shbang, 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 shbang. There it was, instantly. With the internet that I have here, you know, it takes 2.5 hours to upload this program. It's pretty slow. But that was my only option. You know, it's like, you know, a monopoly. It's like this company that's going to cheat you, or this other company that barely really doesn't offer much of a service. And obviously they're in cahoots. You know, they're obviously talking to each other, and they made some kind of agreement that said that one won't walk on the other one's toes. And that's what you get in a Republican state. You get these things a lot of times. And so that's basically a monopoly, which you don't even have in Asia, or I mean, even in Mongolia, they don't have monopolies like that. They don't allow it. But here it's all good. It's not supposed to be all good. It's supposed to be against antitrust, but you know, that means nothing anymore. So what they really need to have at some point is they need to have a credit court. Because, so what I did was I broke my agreement. Now, you signed this contract. You can't get out of that. So I tried to ended at the time that would be like the last day on any kind of invoice, and bring over all of my equipment. And I paid my last bill, and I said, here, we're done. Well, and you know, I tried to call them several times with customer service, not possible to do, and they couldn't give a crap. And I went to their little store, you know, but all those little stores are for is to sell you more phones and upgrade your service. It's not about actual customer service. And when I wanted to say, you know, I'm not really getting the internet service that I'm paying for, they had such an arrogant, I could give a crap attitude. It was unbelievable. So anyway, so I canceled my service. Well, you're not supposed to do that. No, not in America. No. And they have harassed and hounded the crap out of me for the $13 that they say that I still owe them. I mean, they lit my phone up for like 6 months, hounded me for these $13 that I still owed them. And I'm on their crap list, you know. But as far as I'm concerned, I would like to take this to a court of law. I want them to sue me so I can say to a judge, here's proof. I did not get 600 megabytes of service. I only got 60, and they said it's my computer. But funny how my computer does get 400 or 600 megabytes when I go someplace else that actually has real service. And my neighbor also was supposed to be getting 600, but they also are only getting coincidentally the same speed, 60. How about, what an amazing coincidence. So I think it's a matter of policy that they cheat people if you live in certain areas or whatever, and they think that you're ignorant, you won't notice it. And this is how they act, and so, but there's no place to go to. I mean, there's, you know, oh, you go to consumer protection. There is no such thing. Have you ever tried to do it? Have you ever tried to actually go to Better Business? None of that stuff actually does anything. It's all a joke. There's no protection at all from the corporations. Zero. Zero. You've got protection from the government. The government cannot just commandeer and take things from you. That's all protected in the Constitution, but that doesn't matter in America because the corporations run things and there's no protection from them at all. So there really needs to be, in America, there needs to be something like a credit court. You need to be able to say, excuse me, but I don't think I owe this bill, or in fact, they were cheating me, and they actually owe me at least like probably 80% of my money back because I was only getting partial service, you know, and they kind of defrauded me, and they did not honor our original contract. You know, they want to hold me to this contract, but they didn't hold up their end. What about that? Nope, we don't get any say like that. If I want to sue a contractor who is a private contractor, I can do that. But I can't sue a corporation. And they can put bad marks on my credit if I don't act and I don't get in line and I don't stay in line. They put they're going to lower my number. They're going to put it down into the 5s. Oh no. Oh no. In the 5s, oh God, I'm no good. You know, they want to label you with this number. Nobody else does that to you. Only in America. So there really needs to be some protection against corporations. And the one way to give protection could be to establish basically a credit court. Some avenue where consumers can go, excuse me, wait a minute, you did not uphold your end of the contract. Let's talk about that. But right now, as it stands, there is no way to talk about that. Corporations can do to you whatever they want. It's all good. And there's no protection at all. And we just have to trust that they're going to operate with integrity. But why should they operate with integrity when there's nothing to stop them? They can do whatever they want. They know it. So, big problem in this country. So that's number one. Okay, credit court. Don't say you never heard of it before, and you heard it here first. So when did I come up with the idea for credit court? The late 80s, I guess. Something like that. All right. Next thing that we're going to talk about is an Entrepreneurs Association. So one of the things that keeps people down, I think, like psychologically, is a lot of people kind of act a little bit desperate. And I think they're getting very angry, and they don't know where to turn, and they don't think that there's any answers. And so I read recently that 60% of the citizens in America are living at a substandard living standard. They can't afford to have all of the, like, let's say, luxuries, niceties. You know, I'm not talking about mansions and big fancy cars and all this. I'm just talking about like basic, to be able to afford like all the basic things, like all the insurances that you should have, and, you know, to have a car and to be able to buy new clothes once in a while and things like that. 60% of the country cannot do that. This is something that most everybody could do, like 90% of the population could do in the 50s. Now only 40% of the population can do. This is a big problem. And so people, to me, they just seem to be getting more and more angry. And what you could do to diffuse a lot of this, and also I think it's a heck of a good idea. I mean, we talk about innovation and ingenuity. The problem is when corporations control things, they want nothing to do with ingenuity. They want nothing to do with that. They don't want any changes. They don't want anybody to come up with a better idea and change the market, and that interferes and impedes with their corporate profits. They want nothing to do with that. They don't want ideas. They just want little worker bees that don't think too much and they don't ask questions. You just do. Jump, 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 jump. Be good little worker bee. That's what they want. Critical thinking, hey, I got a better idea. No, they don't want that. That's bad. But they should not only allow it, they should promote it, because it would make everybody's life better. And so they should have an entrepreneurs association. And in fact, I actually started a website called IDB. Now you could call it Internet Database, or you can call it Idea Database, or Invention Database, or Investment Database. All those things worked. It was called IDB, and basically what it was a website that, first of all, there's like little tidbits of possible ventures, right? But if you really wanted to see the whole business plan, then you had to like be a member. That's how you could make money with the website. And so if you are a member, you just click and it'll show you the whole business plan, the whole thing. And so not only would this website post and list your ideas or your inventions, but it would also help you to create your own business plan. So like we have all these job websites now that help you to create your resume. This would help you to create a business model or a business plan, you know, for your business. You know, that would be very professional looking and very slick, you know, by the time it's all downloaded. And there's no reason why we couldn't do that. And so any type of an angel investor or somebody who's looking for something different than just the regular stock market or something like that, they're looking for like the next greatest thing that they want to get on the ground floor of. You know, they could look at this website and look for ideas. And so this would not only help stimulate people's thinking and give them a feeling of, hey, I can do something. My ideas are going to be heard. People are gonna, you know, there's a possibility to my dreams can come true, you know? And you never know what angel investor might like this idea. And so, and you could do it with anything. You could even do it with like movie ideas and, you know, any kind of an idea or whatever, you know, just idea database, you know, and anybody that's looking, it's got some money, they're looking for something like this, you know, they're looking for some ingenuity that they want to invest in, some American ingenuity, could be a member of this website, and they could look at all these different very professional, formally done business plans. And so this would help inspire and promote the idea of being creative and having ingenuity as being a way to success, you know, toward being successful, even if you don't have a ticket to the dance. Part of the reason why we don't have that is because they want to make sure that you have to have a ticket to the dance. They don't want there to be any other way to do it. You must have a ticket to the dance. You must play by their rules or forget it. And they have quite a bit of power right now. But anyway, so that's another idea. So we have Entrepreneurs Association, which could be like a state-funded thing. So like it used to be like you would go to like a job center, which they still have these job centers. You go there and maybe they have some vocational training there they can lead you to and things like that. But they could also have one for like entrepreneurs. And again, they could have a counselor there that actually, instead of helps you with your resume, she helps you put together a solid business plan, and helps you to think through your whole idea to make sure that is it really feasible, and then maybe to recommend how to try to get feasibility studies done and things like that, so that you can get financing from even a financial, like a bank or something, you know, if your number is good enough. As well as having some collateral, as well as the fact that this is a good idea and you've done a feasibility study. Anyway, okay, so those are some of the ideas that I have too. And that would be to promote people having a good idea, you know, rather than just promoting jobs and helping people get jobs. Why don't we help people be independent and create new businesses and create new jobs, lots of new jobs and new ideas and new concepts, where the marketplace is constantly changing and competing, and there's somebody's coming up with the next great thing. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen because it's been stopped, stagnated, stopped in its tracks by corporations. And so if corporations don't have the idea, it doesn't get developed. If it's not corporate funded, it's not gonna happen. Okay, that's a problem. All right, so now we get to two sort of like just fun ideas that I have. So one is called hair particle board. So, all right, so, you know, many times I've been sitting at the barber, you know, and they're cutting away, you know, and it's late in the day, and there's been 5 other people there in the last hour, and there's like hair piles all over the floor, and they're cutting away my hair, and there's a little hair pile on my floor, on the floor behind me, and I'm like, what do they do with all this hair? I mean, hair is really strong. It's strong, solid. I mean, it's pretty strong substance. What do they do with all of it? They just throw it away, I guess, right? Well, what if there was a company that's had a driver that went, like at the close of day, he went to each of these places, and it doesn't even have to deal with them in person. They could just be like a depository, like they collect all the hair and they put it into this collection bin in the back, right? And the guy could spend as much time as he needs to just pick up all of the ones all around the, you know, his route. He picks up all of these big, huge bags of hair, and he brings it to a factory, and they compress it down, add in a little glue, and they make particle board. I bet it would be at least as strong as the sawdust that they use to make particle board, probably a lot stronger. And in fact, because it would have like little hairs and stuff, it would keep it from like warping and things like that. You know, I mean, it's kind of like why they have rebarb in concrete. It keeps the concrete steady. So I just thought that would be a good idea. You know, I mean, why throw it away? I mean, it's a resource. You know what I mean? Why couldn't you make something out of it? And I think making particle board out of it would be a very good application for that thing that right now is just a waste. Okay, next thing that leads, and so when did I come up with that? So all of these things I came up with originally in the 80s, which is say that I've had these ideas since the 80s. Another thing that I definitely had in the 80s, in fact, this was like 83. It's one of the earliest ideas. And this is called a cardboard plunger. So I was like, you know what? Okay, so I was in an apartment and my toilet was stopped up, and I didn't have a plunger. And it just, you know, I wanted to overflow and stuff, you know, it just wasn't working. You know, it just wasn't able to get it through. And so what I did was I took a box, and I cut out part of the box that fit snugly inside of the toilet, underneath the lip of the toilet, and it just fit in there perfectly. And I flushed the toilet, and it came up, wanted to overflow, and it came up against this box. It created pressure, and whoosh, there it went. Cleared the stoppage. And I said, well, there's an idea. How about you have like something that's shaped like the largest toilet bowl that we know of, and then it's got like perforated like lines for smaller ones, you know, because there's different sizes. And you just, in a hurry, you can just run down to the convenience store. You know, it costs like 89 cents or something. You know, all it is just a cardboard that's maybe covered in plastic, you know, to create a suction or something that's got like perforated. It's pretty easy to make. And you just run down there, give them your, you know, for $1, you know, you pick one of these things up, you run back home, stick it in, you know, make the right size, stick it in, whoosh, you're free and clear. So it's called a cardboard plunger. Okay, so those are all 5 of the ideas. What do you think? I know I'm crazy. Which you can only hear these here. So thank you for tuning in. And I guess that's all I got. That's all I got. I'm spent. I got nothing more for this episode. And so please stay tuned, and hopefully in early June we can do that exciting episode with Mr. Dr. Gosline, and maybe we can even interview Richard Carrier at some point. That's a possibility. If he's not angry with me, we're having a little email war. Anyway, he doesn't like advice, unsolicited advice. Let's just say that. And I have this tendency to just give it, right? You know. Anyway, all right. So that's it. And so we'll have another exciting episode for you next time, in about 2 weeks' time or so, as usual. And thank you for tuning in for episode 32 for Learning with Power. This episode is called Ideas. It's the Ideas episode. And I'm Scott Powers Houston, and like, share, subscribe, all those good things. Thank you very much. And we will see you next time. And until then, you have a great day.